Hello, McFluffy52 here, back with some more Phyrexia All-1 action, and today we're playing a deck that I'm calling Scam. It's a bit of an Orzhov scam list because we're playing Undying Malice as well as a bunch of prototype creatures, which if you prototype them out, and then if the opponent goes to remove them, particularly destroy spells, if we cast Undying Malice on them, they'll return to the battlefield when they die, tapped with an additional +1/+1 counter on it, and that flips them to their bigger side. So that's the kind of idea here is we're going to try and get our opponents to remove our 2/2 autonomous assembler here and then have it flip to the other side because we were holding up Undying Malice. But actually, the real reason I built this deck was around a combo that someone from Swayze's Discord showed off, which is Danitha, Benalia's Hope, plus Necrogen Communion. So when Danitha dies, or actually when Danitha enters the battlefield, you may put an aura or equipment card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield and attach it to Danitha. So if we play Danitha and we have Necrogen Communion in hand, we can go ahead and have this automatically enchant onto Danitha, and it gives her Toxic 2, and most importantly, when an enchanted creature dies, return that card to the battlefield under your control. So when Danitha dies, Necrogen Communion returns Danitha to the battlefield. Danitha's ETB ability happens again, and we can go ahead and return the Necrogen Communion from our graveyard to the battlefield attached to Danitha. In a way, we basically make Danitha immortal to all destroy or sacrifice removal. I also thought about building like a sacrifice deck around this, but I never actually looked too closely into that. But yeah, we have some other fun cards to go with Danitha, such as Sword of Forge and Frontier, which can automatically equip to Danitha by just playing it out, or like if we have it in our hand and we cast Danitha. We also have one Transmogrant's Crown, which says when an encrypted creature dies, draw a card, so this can help us draw some cards along the way. The rest of the deck is some removal and stuff. We got Eternal Wonder to blink our prototypes to flip them potentially. We also have Kaya as like removal plus like card draw and all sorts of stuff. There'll be a full deck tech at the end of the video, so if you're interested in that, consider sticking around. Let's go ahead, try this deck on the ranked ladder. I haven't played a whole ton of games with this deck, but I think it's a lot of fun, or like the concept's a lot of fun. I thought I would go ahead and share the Danitha combo here. Let me check who it was. It was Phoenix from Swayze's Discord who shared this. So shout out to them for the like showing this off to me. And yeah, we got a lot of good cards in our hands, so let's go ahead and try it. Playing some of these game lands. Oh, Toxic. Toxic is not exactly ideal here. It's mono black Toxic, so it is mono black Toxic. We need something in the air to get rid of the special and Siphoner. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and prototype out this autonomous assembler, and then we can block next turn with it, or we can enchant it with Necrogen Communion. Sacrifice, okay, so we didn't have anything we could protect it with at the time, so maybe we should have waited a turn and just try to play around that, but yeah, Toxic is one of those aggro decks where you need lots of responses early, and perhaps I made the curve for this deck a little bit too high. We'll go ahead and see how this turns out though. Best blocks. Do we want to touch the Spirit Realm anything? I don't think we do. Alright, I'm just yeah. That is unfortunate. Okay, now we get to hold this up, which is good. So we are looking like and step away from death. Do you have another Vraska's Fall? Actually, do we just die here? Because we need to get rid of their Blightbelly Rat is like one thing. Because as soon as their Blightbelly Rat dies, it proliferates. So we need to exile it, but we also need to exile this flyer. Alright, well, we at least get a big Fleshgorger next turn. Unless our opponent has double removal. Alright, well, they're gonna exile it. It's dead, gone, and then they just get to attack next turn. We don't have any sweepers. Opponent had a pretty good start there, and mono black toxic. Yeah, that removal spell that they have there is pretty good because it just exiles stuff. There is that problem with this entire deck is whenever opponent exiles something, we can't get the whole scheme off. But yeah, really excited to try and show off the Danitha plus Necrogen Communion though. Ossification. Ooh, we have nothing good to play like for the first few turns though. Well, Ossification's not bad. Turn two, we get to go first. Orange arrow. I think we get to go first. Yeah, there we go. Our mana curve in this deck looks a little bit cursed, but that's because all the prototypes like start technically as their like high cost cards in the deck builder. Opponent. Give them a friendly hello. They doing. I'm surprised that mono red is. I mean, I guess they may have been on their phone doing something. Playing mono red as a quick game. Got interrupted. Still kind of upsetting though. But yeah, this ossification will probably just get rid of the Monastery Swift Spear. What could we hope to draw into? A prototype creature would be pretty good around now. They are like they have Jace Avatar, so they're, I wonder if they're just trying to rank with mono red. Okay, and it's still AFK. I'm gonna take a sip of my water. And you're really gonna rope us out on mono red. That's despicable. Alright, we're not gonna go ahead and play out this autonomous assembler because it's probably just gonna get bolted. And if we can play it out next turn, we have the Undying Malice to protect it and flip it. And then it becomes a 5, or actually it would be a 5/6 because it gets the additional +1. So pretty huge, and then it has Vigilance, so it can attack in and defend. I saw somebody playing an Abzan scam bots list in like CGB's Discord. I think the people who were playing it was like Latte, I think is the name of the person who was who like originally kind of created the list and then somebody else picked it up as well. But I think they were playing Autonomous Assembler as one of their creatures, and I was really surprised because I always thought this prototype creature was not very good. But I think the best part about it is it comes out on turn two and then has like this vigilance and can grow itself. So it's really like, despite being not that interesting of a card, perhaps, it actually has a fair amount of value here. Oh no, I think it's just gone. So I guess we get a free win here. We would have had the scam though, which is really disappointing. Next to combat and turn. Fortunately, it has summoning sickness, so we can't go ahead and tap it and get a +1 on it if we wanted, but not really the plan here. At least concede. If you're just gonna like have somewhere to go, how hard is it to click the concede button? I don't know. We don't know what they got themselves into, so we just have to be patient. It's impressive that like you have this much time like this early into the game, it feels like. But I think it's more so like not that they have this much time per like individual turn, it's the fact that they can rope turn one turn to the like next turn back to back. I remember I was trying to make a decision like early in the game. I think it was in the Portal video, the Portal and Dragons video, where I did the Capricious Transformation deck where it was like Capricious Hellraiser plus Chaotic Transformation. Um, I was trying to make a decision on what was best to play. We were pretty much losing the game, and so I was taking a while to think, and the timer ran out and passed their turn, but it wasn't like it didn't feel like that much time to think. And then, of course, like our opponent there, like, yeah, they roped one turn. It was probably not that long for one turn, but then like the next turn was pretty. They had another rope to give. So I know. Enough talk about roping. Let's see what our opponent is playing this time. I do like these sleeves. I think they're cool sleeves. Okay, this is not happening. Back to back, players do nothing. Okay, I was about to be like, I don't want to pitch the video and start over again. I do wish we had some more interesting games right now. We do not have any creatures, unfortunately. We do have like uh 21 creatures in this deck, I think it is. Don't really think we want to Ossification the token. That is something we will Ossification. Do we want to touch the Spirit Realm minute before the end of their turn? That might be worth. Beginning of their next end step. I don't think it actually makes a difference. Unfortunately. If I do this, does this work? Solve. We get one less token since we did that. But now we can't. Now we can't hit it with our removal. I thought it was gonna return them. Okay, well, maybe a bit of noobsy. We should just let them have the token. And this hand it's not very good. Oh God. All right, that's pretty game. Got like a billion tokens. They all get pumped up, and we have all of our reactionary spells. Yep, I'm gonna take your queen. Oops. Spread out the enchantments. And we still have like 10 damage coming at us, which is terrifying. What we need right about now is a one of the life gain creatures, the Phyrexian Fleshgorger. Oh, yay, yay, yay. None of the creatures I should have molded. Should have molded. I should have practiced also more with this deck. We will get this in the like, next few games. There will be, like, actual gameplay, I swear. Okay, this is a bad hand. We have no basics to go with our ossifications. Alright, this is playable. Let's get rid of the Touch of the Spirit Realm. We have plenty of things to flip our creatures that we could draw into instead. Our sword. This card's pretty cool, but it's Just having to actually pay for the equipment costs make like the sword and stuff so much worse creatures. Soldiers. That's pretty lame. I think we hold off with the ossification here. They probably have a better creature to for us to ossify. Yep, we're gonna play Autonomous Assembler. All you can do is discard a card to Benalia, or the Guardian of New Benalia. Unfortunately, we won't be able to play Fleshgorger because we don't have two black sources. I put as many like dual lands as I had in this deck. Also, still a fair amount of basics to go with the ossification, but yeah, like that's a better thing to hit with our ossification. All right. What do you have for 1 mana, opponent? Okay. It is annoying that this Guardian has an activated ability, so they have like a pause at every single interaction possible. Right, or each phase, I guess. Okay. Hmm. Give it lifelink. Doesn't really matter what we give it at this moment because we have yet to tell if it's going to actually survive a turn. Oh man. When I get these ossifications, I'm gonna be so happy that they flipped my Steel Seraph, but right now I'm just very mad. You know what they should have done is they should have enlisted here. But it doesn't really matter because neither will we top deck a black source or another card as relevant. Oh my goodness, these games have turned turned out awfully. Touch of the Spirit Realm or an ossification. We have like 4 of each in our deck, so we have like 8 of them. We've used 1 ossification. Either one of those things would be a good draw. Another creature would be a good draw. Our black source would be a good draw. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's not quite what I was hoping, game. Okay, blow up there in the trenches. Opponent is playing a very brutal Cathar plus in the trenches, exile, whatever the crap is on their battlefield, and win with soldiers. Very annoying. Get +2/+2 with something. So we can go ahead and trade with something, but we're still dead. Opponent is going to stare at it. Opponent stuck on 3 lands. Still get the win. This video has turned out terribly. I feel bad. I just don't have a whole lot of time today, though, to play test and everything. Hello, opponent. Ay, ay, ay. That's a very nice 2-drop they played. I think what we'll do here is, I hope they don't have a kill spell. Nah, they do. He could also just, Ah. everywhere. Not too shocking, but just wanted to survive one turn, damn it. Alright, maybe they will take a turn off from murdering our stuff and let us have our Phyrexian Fleshgorger. 7 damage to the face. Exile target artifact or creature, return to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of next end step. Could we just cast this? Or use that? And we get a 7/5? Alright, well I guess what we do is we draw, you die to that, you go ahead attack in, gain some life, and cast this. I should have probably just held up on Undying Malice, but that's fine. And then blink this, it comes back to our battlefield under our control as a 7/5, yay. But they can just cast a removal spell on it if they really please. We go ahead and no blocks here. But they could just invoke Despair here and then we're very sad. They are playing the Invoke Despair colors. Alright, go ahead and equip this for 1 black. You gain 9 life. Assuming they don't kill it. End turn. We have Undying Malice here. We have the Transmogrant Crown, which will draw us a card if they kill it. Okay, this will give us it back when they kill it. What? Okay. That's absurd. Are we just dead? We are dead. I don't know why I try and make decks or post videos. Oh my god. Let's go see if we have uh, the ideal game where this deck can actually do something. I don't know. I don't know if we're getting unlucky or if I'm just actually trolling when I thought this deck would be at least bare minimum playable. Ossification on 2, but our opponent is playing mono blue. Probably gonna counter or protect their stuff. Nope, they're playing Dimir. Ninjas, eh? Yeah, don't really want any ninjas touching me because they kind of do things when they deal combat damage. Too bad we don't have Undying Malice to go with this in our hand. So we're Soul Tie Ninjas. Interesting. Yeah, that'll do. I mean, do we just keep this in hand? Nah, we don't keep it in hand. There's not too much to gain from keeping it in hand here. We top deck into like another equipment or the Necrogen Communion. We'll at least get that back. Okay, well that is not exactly what I was hoping for. Opponent, do you have a kill spell that you would like to cast at this very moment? We don't have anything in our graveyard or our hands to equip to Danitha. Still, first strike, lifelink, vigilance is pretty good. Can block their Fang Shigeki. They won't be doing much blocking. Springleaf Avenger, they can return target permanent from their graveyard to the hand, so they can return the bounce spell, and we're just trapped. Alright, Sultai Ninjas. This is one of those bad days where you just lose. Sure, there's like a million ways you can improve this deck. I know everyone's gonna comment, oh, this curve is stupid, you don't have enough like low end removal, your creatures are too expensive, you should have like 1 and 2 drop creatures or something like that. But like, at the end of the day, this deck should be playable, shouldn't lose every single game I play for like games on end. It's just, sometimes you, like even the best deck that you have, you play it and you just lose, and then you lose, and then you lose, and then you lose. And it's like your highest win rate, most consistent deck. Uh, you just opponents just have better hands. Um, Opponent probably playing bounce or sweepers. They probably won't sweeper yet, so maybe we just play out a Fleshgorger. Yeah, we're playing Azorius Mind Splice apparatus deck. Would be my bet. Oh my god, lay down arms. Oh, that's about as bad as it gets. Alright, we'll play out. You want to play out Necrogen Communion here? We could play out Steel Seraph and then just hold up Undying Malice, but go ahead and play Necrogen Communion. Okay, now we can play up Steel Seraph and hold up Undying Malice for when they go for the sweepers. I mean, heck, we could play out Necrogen Communion, but Undying Malice is a bit cooler, I think. Let's go ahead, give this flying, I think. Go swinging. Toxic our opponent out, and turn. Thank you, opponent. I love the upgrades. Very much appreciated. Oh my god. What do we want to do? Sure, lifelink. Who do we want to protect? Because they probably have another sweeper in hand. Phyrexian Vindicator is probably our best bet, I would think. Or Fleshgorger. I said Vindicator, didn't I? Yep. Finally, a reasonable matchup. Opponent had things to do on the curve. It's not like our opponent did nothing, let me say. They did, like, lay down arms and Sunset Reverie, as well as Experimental Augury, but that's just them finding a card. They did have, like, interaction, ways to stuff up the board. But that's why Scam is a scam. We actually won one. Alright. Danitha. We want to see Danitha. Are we done losing? That's the real question. It's not a terrible curve. We have ossification on 2, steal Seraph next turn, and then we can cast out something like Necrogen Communion on it, or the Transmogrant Crown if we want that. But that exiles our stuff. We're not a big fan of that. Alright, what do we want to do? We don't have any good good answers, I don't think. So we're gonna try and do the most mana efficient thing here. Play out Steel Seraph. Hopefully it survives the turn. And then the next turn we can protect it with Necrogen Communion. They're probably gonna kill it, attacking with Graveyard Trespasser, exiling it from the graveyard. Yep. Kill it. Exile Necrogen Communion, right? Nope, that. Okay, fair enough. Now if they have Invoked Despair on 5, they get a full cost Fleshgorger. Two drop, 3 drop. I don't know. I remember one of the videos, I had somebody who commented and was like saying you're very salty, or you complain a lot, basically, right? And it's like, what am I supposed to talk about when all I'm doing is losing in a particular video, besides say like, okay, well, opponent's got a pretty good start, we did not get a good start. I want to show off what the deck can do, but we can't really show it off if all that's happening is our opponent is like murdering us with a nicer start. What do we want to do? Fleshgorger's pretty good against them, though we could flip this Autonomous Assembler, which is probably the better bet. Try and keep every creature we have alive. Let's just play Necrogen Communion on it and call it a day. Could have given them 2 poison, but I don't think it makes a difference in this. It's not like they're going to be gaining life, so we can just kill them through life. Oh, that exiles our stuff. Forgot about that, so we can't actually block here. Need to remove the etching of Kamano. Surprised to see anyone playing Ronin still. I guess what I can do here is pass the blockers, block this, 1 block, tap, add a +1 counter. Say goodbye to one of your etchings. We have to get rid of the next etching. Which will be difficult. Which will be difficult. Unless they choose to swing in with it. You would have thought etching could come on. It would be so annoying. Exile your creatures instead of letting them die. Classification would be a nice thing to get off the top. Opponent looking for a burn spell on this autonomous assembler. Gotta play with fire. Do they have double play with fire? We will not be doing any blocking here unless it's blocking the etching. Blocking the etching seems worth. We're gonna burn it now? We didn't burn it. What the heck? Opponent, your etching is gone. It doesn't work anymore. Oh gosh. You're supposed to burn it before the etching hits, and then you would have actually gotten a kill on it, but now I just get the creature. That was a big oopsie on our opponent's part. Bonk. And always, if our opponent doesn't do anything to remove our creatures, we can Undying Malice. Well, we can add a counter to the autonomous assembler. Chandra.
Yep, I'm basically a professional at saving Innistrad.
Ronin.
So I'm a little hot-headed. So what?
Ronin. Gotta block it with the Fleshgorger to gain life. No burn spell to follow it up. Our opponent, I think, has given up. I think they have given up. Yeah, we just get double lifelink going, and yeah, there's not much they can do. This deck, not bad into mono red. When you get to curve out. If you find your creatures and curve out. Yeah, the Abzan scam bot list do have the advantage of being able to play like Tanyo Safekeeping, Malira, which is like a 2-cost creature, so a little bit more action lower on the curve, but Thomas Assembler is pretty nice. Problem is it is like 2 toughness here, which does make it a lot weaker initially, but if you can flip it, it's amazing. Or upgrade it, rather. It's not really a flip, it's a one-sided card. Go ahead and play out Caves of Coilus, or yeah, Caves of Coilus and the Autonomous Assembler. Transmogrant Crown is not going to do much if the things die. You gotta play out this. Give this lifelink. Gain some life. Now nothing will die, it'll get exiled because of Kamano. Please no lightning strike on the Seraph. Seraph survives. Phoenix Chick. Do they have another play with fire? I'd much rather just get my lifelink in next turn. Maybe we do this. Good lifelink for 5 here, but if we do this, we can give this lifelink and vigilance, so we can block and attack. Lifelink, vigilance. Back up to 15, keeping the score pretty even here. Danitha is lifelink as well, so that should put us in a decent spot. Opponent only had Thundering Raiju, so we can block like the Phoenix Chick or the Kamano potentially. After they just put it on that, that's Interesting choice. We will be taking 7 here, but we can gain 6 next turn. First strike with 6/4. That's not bad. Lifelink. We're just gonna race. I mean, we got lifelink on our side. Oh boy, opponent. Oh boy. If I ride you, first strike, kills it pretty cleanly, and then we just win. Because they have nothing to block with. Just so, a little insult to injury. We'll have the Forge. Okay, yay, another dub. We'll play one more game, in hopes that we can actually get this Danitha combo assembled. Yesterday I was playing this deck, and I got it, like, out of, like, half the games that I was playing, and today we just can't find it. Cannot find it. Alright, here we go. Jigglypuff. What a nice name. Ooh, this hand though. This hand is something. Alright, let's keep it. Hope our opponent's slow. We have the combo in hand. If we can get to Danitha mana, we play Danitha, we enchanted Necrogen Communion. Opponent has Throne of Eldraine. Sleeves. That's supposed to be like you know, like one of those, I don't know, dining forks. Opponent. Blackleaf Cliffs, so Rakdos. Bankbuster, okay, we like that. We like seeing the slow. Play out this because we can protect it with Undying Malice. Red pass, so our opponent doesn't think as we don't think we have anything for it. Alright, we get to get an upgraded Asanos Assembler. They should have used the Destroy Artifact part of that, but it wouldn't have made a difference in this case. Alright, we're pretty close to assembling it. Hopefully our opponent doesn't leave us though. I do worry. Do we need this as a blocker? Yeah, let's keep it as a blocker. And hold up mana so they have to think whether or not we have another one. Could they be playing sweepers? They could potentially be playing sweepers. Cruelty of Gix, that's cool. This is just reactors like attracts a reanimator. Sorry opponent, we have the Thomas Assembler which holds everything up. We could put a counter on it. A little bit my bad. They can go ahead and steal their bank poster. I should have put a counter on that before swinging it, or like before damage. But it doesn't make too much difference. Liliana, I will do.
This is my home, and I don't appreciate it when people touch my things. Sacrifices must be made.
And I would really like another land. Okay, here we go. Got the Danitha plus Necrogen Communion, let's go. Yeah, maybe we kill Liliana here. This also extends the game. Like, yeah, we could swing in for their face and secure like a victory, but here they might try and kill the Danitha. They reanimate our Fleshgorger. That's fair. Ooh, we could win the game, or we could go ahead and just do this. Alright, I just want to demonstrate this, because it's taken this long to try and assemble it. It's just really funny. Now this does put us at like very low chance of winning at this point, but it is funny. That was worth it. Alright, that's something better to ossification. Now I'd like to draw. That'll do. Could have put a +1. I've been like inting this game. But I'm having enough fun. It's fine. We'll go ahead and pass turn because no attacks will do anything here. I mean, if we attack it with Autonomous Assembler, they could just block the Danitha, so we attack in with the Autonomous Assembler, force them to trade. Or we could just wait a turn. What do we want to do? I mean, this forces them to trade potentially. Or they just take the 5 damage. They have life to spare. Upgrading that will do nothing. So we would have been actually able to kill that without it dying if I wasn't, like, grieving this game. But it's funny. We get our Fleshgorger back again. Oi, oi. Alright, no attacks. We'll actually set a stop here. I got to demonstrate the Danitha combo, so I'm honestly not even mad at this point. Whatever happens, happens. Oh my god. Come on, opponent. Come on. Why would you use it on this? Why? Sorry. Oh, that's too funny. Okay, this is what we needed. Yeah, our Danitha is immortal to like destroy removal. They have to exile it. We're willing to pay 7 life. We have 7 to spare. Next combat. Put a counter on itself. Swing in for 9. Bonk bonk. Atraxa. Yep, they're an Atraxa, the reanimator deck. Cruelty of Gix, big score, we're talking Numa. We need another ossification. Or a Touch the Spirit Realm. We still have 2 ossifications in our deck and 3 Touch the Spirit Realms in our deck, I believe. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you can't really reanimate it if it remains in exile. We'll go ahead and add a counter to it. Let's hope our opponent does not have another sort of a Traxa in their hand. So they can't cast it with their current mana. They need a green and a white. The Traxas. Black, blue, white to green. Got black, blue, no white and green. So they could discard with this. They could reanimate it if they have one in hand. What they can do is discard to big score and then play Gix, or the Cruelty of Gix here. Big score, discard a card, that's additional cost, draw 2 cards, create 2 treasures. That would help them get the treasures and the mana to play it, or they can just go ahead, discard a Traxa, and then put it onto the battlefield from the graveyard. We did kind of play with our opponent here, so we kind of deserve to lose, but Alright, we win with the combo. Oh my goodness. Going on a little bit of a win streak after a 4-game loss streak at the start of the video. That is a pain. It's particularly annoying when I lose a bunch at like the start of the video because who wants to watch a video where somebody loses a bunch at the beginning of it before you see a single win? So That's why I usually get a little bit upset about it, but this is the deck. Let's go over, let's hop into the deck tech and go over each of the cards. We got Undying Malice here for 1 mana, so we want to be able to play out like our, okay, I'm gonna move these prototypes to where we usually play them on the curve. You can see, not as crazy of a curve as it might look like at the start, but we got Undying Malice. Our hope is to play out like an autonomous assembler and then have like an Undying Malice up. We want our prototype creatures. If we're not able to hold up the mana, which we usually, if we're gonna try and play on curve, we can't really like hold up the mana because, well, we also kind of want to play on curve because then our opponent's not just getting free hits on us. But yeah, so that is like one problem with like this whole kind of like deck is like, okay, do you wait until you have like that third land and then you can do like autonomous assembler or protect it with Undying Malice? But if the opponent like went first and they had played like a tenacious underdog and a like a what is the other creature? Cemetery Prowler or no, Cemetery Trespasser. Then they're gonna be like hitting in for a bunch of damage if you don't have any sort of responses. So it is tough in that regard, but yeah, autonomous assembler is one of like the best targets for Undying Malice just because it comes down the earliest of all of our prototype creatures, and then it turns into like a 4/5 or a 5/6, which is huge. Really good blocker. It also has vigilance, so you can attack and block, which is nice. But yeah, Undying Malice, whenever target creature dies, or until end of turn, target creature gains. Whenever it dies, return to the battlefield under its control tapped with a +1/+1 counter. Then we have Ossification as enchants basic land you control. We have 13 basic lands in the deck, a bunch of dual lands, and then the rare lands from Kamigawa and Neon Dynasty. But yeah, we still have 13 basic, so generally we should have a target for this without much of a problem. And then when it enters the battlefield, exile target creature or planeswalker opponent controls until Ossification leaves the battlefield. We saw this was particularly helpful. This plus the Touch of the Spirit Realm was particularly helpful against like the Atraxa there. Instead of sending it to the graveyard, we were actually able to exile it, which is honestly, in that case, much better because they couldn't get it back from their graveyard with the Cruelty of Gix that they had in hand. Um, then we have one copy of Transmogran's Crown. This is just another enchantment, or sorry, another equipment for Danitha to hit. We saw how we were able to get it out there. Yeah, it was that last game. We got it out there against our opponent. I think it was that last game where we had a Danitha, we had Crown in hand. We play Danitha, we get a free Crown, so it gets we basically end up with a 6/4 first strike lifelink vigilance, and then when it dies, you would draw a card. This is just like some incidental card draw. It's one of the best enchant or equipments in standard at the moment. Like if you go ahead and search through equipments, there's not really much good to add, at least in terms of like a deck like this. Yeah, you have some like these Firmierden ones that are okay, but not a whole lot of relevant cards perhaps. So that's why we're only playing one copy of Swords Reforged and Frontier and one Transmogran's Crown. Um, and I figure Transmogran's Crown pretty good in a deck where you're expecting your creatures to die, because we want them to flip, and they're pretty weak to start off. So if we somehow end up with this card on the battlefield and we're playing on a prototype, we can equip it, and then we can also protect it with like Undying Malice. Draw a card, flip it. It's pretty nice. Necrogen Communion. This is one of the like spotlight cards of this deck, I would say. Necrogen Communion. It's basically Undying Malice on an enchantment. If a creature were to die, return it to the battlefield under your control. It also gives the creature Toxic 2, which is not really relevant in this deck. We're not going for Toxic wins. But this card plus Danitha is the main two cards that I started this deck with, and then I was like, okay, well, Prototype Scam, or like this functions similar to like Undying Malice, or cards that you would build Scam around, and so I figured why not build a Scam deck with Necrogen Communion and Danitha. So next up, Autonomous Assembler. This is a 2 mana card, it's a 2/2 prototype, and then it flips to a 4/5 with vigilance, or well, it has vigilance all the time, but and then it flips to a 4/5 that you can put more +1 counters on. We messed up a little bit there, like forgetting to add the +1 counters towards that last game, which could have made the game go smoother. But honestly, I was just happy to see the combo, and I wasn't as worried about winning at that particular moment. Then we have one learn to the third path here. Just figured I originally had like one more Eternal Wanderer. I took that out, put it in Warren. This lets us hit even more artifacts and enchantments. It's another body on the battlefield, which it's important to have enough creatures. Ooh, sorry, yawning. Enough creatures to like chump block or just like clog up the battlefield. So that's why we're playing that on top of our other creatures. Touch of the Spirit Realm, this card's really good, particularly in this kind of deck. We can use it to blink things, which can be potentially relevant. Super relevant with these prototypes, because if you play out a 3-cost Fleshgorger, you blink it, we get the full cost Fleshgorger. We got to see that in the gameplay. And then it also can exile artifact or creature if you pay like just cast out normally. Sword of Forge and Frontier. This is a really fun equipment because it gives +2/+2, which is pretty good. Gives it protection from red and green. Not necessarily the most popular colors in Standard right now, but if you go against mono red, this is just another kind of tool to, I guess, destroy them. But the real thing is, if we can put it on like Danitha, then it's a 6/6 first strike, vigilance, lifelink, protection from red, protection from green. If it swings in, connects, we get to exile the top cards of our library, and we can play those cards this turn. So this can give us card advantage if it gets to stick around, and we can play an additional land from those exiled cards, which is nice. Or I guess you get to play an additional land this turn. It doesn't necessarily even say that you need it to be from among those cards. Steel Seraph, this card, I love this. I really actually enjoy all of these prototype creatures a lot. I feel like they have a lot of value, particularly Steel Seraph, giving any creature of your choice flying, vigilance, lifelink at the beginning of your combat on your turn. And it's a 3/3 flyer, which is out of cut down range. It's flying. You can block those pesky flyers like those Phoenix chicks. So yeah, very nice card. Phyrexian Fleshgorger, another very nice prototype creature here. It's 3 costs. You get a 3/3 with Menace and Lifelink, and then Ward, pay life equal to its power. Lifelink, just super nice in the meta. Like, Invoke Despairs chip away at your health. Mono red is going to chip away at your health. So having these like 2 lifelinkers here on top of Danitha is super cool and can really help you kind of stall out or like force your opponent to actually do things besides just drain your HP with spells. They have to first deal with your board, which is kind of nice. And then it flips into a 7/5, which is pretty good. 7 lifelink, it's not bad. Danitha, I've already talked about this at the beginning of the video, but really cool that she gets to return an aura or equipment card from your hand or your graveyard onto the battlefield to attach to her. So that's very cool. I saw that it was able to help us place in like an ossification. I do wonder how that works. Do you just like ossification on Danitha? Like the ossification was lighting up. It needs to be an aura is important. So this is technically an aura. I looked through other enchantments. It didn't seem like there was a ton of really great ones available at the moment in Standard. So at least not in these colors. There's like maybe one other one that I thought was interesting. That you could potentially look to include. Well, yeah, you have like this Nurturing Presence, gives you a 1/1 spirit whenever a creature enters the battlefield this turn, give +1/+1 until end of turn. But I guess you also have like Cathar's Call. So there are like aura equipments, but like a lot of them are like similar to this, where like they're just these like arrest ones. Card is imprisonment. Enchanted creature can't attack or block. You don't really want to put that on your Danitha. Clawing Torment is another good example. But one of the ones that I thought, or like I've always found this card pretty interesting. You can enchant an artifact or creature you control. So you can like cast this onto like just your Transmogrant Crown if you don't really have anything. But it says when it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls, as long as enchantment permanent is a creature gets +1/+1. So this is potentially a good aura to add. I know that Phoenix, who was the one who showed the Danitha and Necrogen Communion, I think they included a few copies of Twisted Embrace in their deck, but they opted for a more of a toxic deck. So I took it in a bit of a different direction because I thought Necrogen Communion could be also nice just to play on these as another, or the prototypes as another way to scan. And then yeah, so besides that we have Eternal Wander. We didn't really get to see either of these planeswalkers. We were too busy either dying or not drawing them, I guess. But yeah, this one, very nice. Eternal Wander can't be attacked by more than one creature, and then we can go ahead and exile target artifact or creature, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of that player's next end step. So we can exile our opponent's creatures. So if they play like a token, we can go ahead and exile that. It never comes back as a token. And then we can try and swing in. If it's a creature, it would come back on their turn at the end of their turn, so they can't even swing in with it, or they don't even get any of the value of it sitting on their board during their turn, which is very nice. Doesn't necessarily help against Shieldred, who will make his drain on our upkeep, technically. But the real reason we're playing the Eternal Wander is because she can blink our prototypes. So we play out like a 3-cost Steel Seraph, we tick up with Wandering Emperor. At the end of our turn, it comes back as the 6-cost 5/4 flying one, which is very cool. And then the rest of our abilities are very good, creating a 2/2 double striking samurai creature token. It's nice. The -4, which can sweeper the board, basically. For each player, choose a creature that player controls. Each player sacrifices all creatures they control, not chosen this way. So we choose the opponent's worst creature, we choose our best creature, and then everything else dies. We potentially don't care because Danitha can return herself if she has the Necrogen Communion, as well as if we have Necrogen Communion or Undying Malice cast on any of our creatures. When we sacrifice them, they're going to return to the battlefield anyways. So this can be even more of like a kind of one-sided board wipe by us keeping like 2 of our best creatures and our opponent keeping their worst creature. And then Kaya, this Planeswalker just puts in a lot of work, so I thought I would try and include it here. We didn't actually really get to see her in action, but +2 is each opponent loses 3 life, you gain 3 life, so this can help us drain our opponent out, finish them off. And +2 loyalty is pretty extreme, bringing her up to 8 loyalty, so she's very hard to get rid of. Her 0 is we get to draw 2 cards, so this helps us keep the gas in the deck if we get Kaya down, which is nice. And then our opponent gets a Scry 1, which isn't quite as nice. And then the -3, we get to exile a creature enchantment. If it wasn't an aura, create a token. There's a copy of it, except it's a 1/1 white spirit creature with flying in addition to its other types. So what we can do here is we can go ahead and exile our opponent's enchantments or creatures, and then we get a 1/1 copy of them. This card really good at hating on like Atraxa players because the -3 is basically we get the Atraxa ETB and the opponent loses their Atraxa, which is nice. It doesn't even go to their graveyard, it's exiled. So that's potentially one reason to be playing Kaya if you're thinking about picking her up. And then the lands, yeah, we got 3 Shadowed Sanctum because I only have 3. And then 4 Scoured Barrens, 3 Caves of Koilos, Takamuna, Aganjo, some plains and swamps. So I hope you guys enjoyed the deck. If you did, feel free to let me know. Leave a comment, leave a like, all that good stuff. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Have a nice morning, evening, night, afternoon, whenever and wherever you're watching. Ciao.